Thanks for being with us. While we wait on questions, could you take a moment to comment on your team as you enter the Arkansas game on Saturday?
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to be back at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's homecoming. Arkansas is a huge challenge for us, really tough team. We've had some really tough losses, and KJ Jefferson is a really, really good player and very challenging matchup as a passer and as a runner. They're very aggressive on defense. They've, played really well so far this year. So, we got to look forward to the things that we need to do to improve on and get better and, try to build on the confidence that our team plays with.
We'll begin with Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Bob Holt, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we got you, Bob.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey, Nick, I know that Alabama's pretty hard to beat no matter the kickoff time, but I read in your notes that you all are undefeated. I think it was 26-0 or something, when you're playing games that start 11:30 or earlier. Outside of getting guys up earlier and having an earlier pregame, is there anything in particular you all do when you have an early morning game for all that success?
Well, I don't think that any of those games are going to matter in this game, number one. But I think what we try to emphasize with our players is, when your feet hit the ground in the morning, it's going to be early. You got to be ready to go. So, it happens quick. Pregame meal is early, and you got to be ready to go. So, but, it's also has a little bit with who you're playing, and I think we're playing a really good team this week, so it's going to be a real challenge for us.
I know, Dan Enos was at Michigan State. When you were there, and he's told us some stories about you getting on him when he wasn't running the scout team offense the right way. I know he coached with you there. Just wonder what your thoughts are on Dan when he was a player and an assistant with you, and how he's doing at Arkansas.
Yeah, he's doing great. I think he's a really good coach. He did a great job for us when he was here. I can't remember those days back when he was a scout team quarterback, but if he says I got on him, that wouldn't surprise me. But anyway, he's a really good coach and doing a really good job with their team.
Thanks.
Next is Nick Alvarez of AL.com.
Yeah, Nick, earlier in the week, Sam Pittman compared Jalen a little bit to kind of a younger version of KJ Jefferson in terms of kind of the dual threat ability they have. I guess, where do you see Jalen in terms of his progression kind of long-term compared to this time last year when he had to appear in the Arkansas game, and what do you think of that KJ comparison?
Well, I don't like to compare players. KJ's a really good player in his own right, and he's got a lot of experience, and he's gotten better and better every year. And, Jalen is, matured a lot as a quarterback, as a player, as a passer, his confidence in making reads and, getting the ball out on time. They're both outstanding athletes, so they can make plays with their feet, and they can scramble and make plays, keep their eyes downfield, as passers. So that part of it is, pretty obvious, I think. But Jalen is just, he's come a long ways from, where he started with no experience to, the kind of player he's become in terms of understanding the offense, being able to read and diagnose things more quickly and distribute the ball, more like a point guard and not think that he's got to make every play, and understand, that his role is to distribute the ball to the right guys in the right time at the right place, and he's gotten a lot better at that.
Next is Mike Rodak of 24/7 Sports.
Just where do things stand with Malachi and James Burnip this week? And it also looked like Ja'Cory Brooks might not have finished the game on Saturday, if you had an update on his status.
Yeah, Ja'Cory's been able to practice. Malachi and James will both be game time decisions, depending on the progress they make between now and then. But we're preparing as if neither guy would be able to play, but I can't say that emphatically.
Next we'll go to David Pascal, the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Nick, definitely a big picture question at the halfway mark, but given that this start has been different from a lot of your teams, you had more question marks going in, you didn't have that big neutral site win to start the season and have the target on your back. When you have these wins over Ole Miss and Texas A&M last week, are you finding that this is one of the more rewarding and enjoyable years that you've coached?
Yeah, this has been a very enjoyable, challenging year. Got a different kind of team. They've shown great resiliency in terms of, how they've competed in games. And, we continue to, have a lot of things that we can correct as coaches to try to, help us continue to make progress, as a team. And I want the players to look forward in a positive way. I kind of use the analogy, if you started out bench pressing 200 pounds and your goal was to bench press 300 and you get to 250, you made improvement, you made progress, but you want to, still be motivated to try to, get to your goal and continue to improve and make positive progress.
And as far as your players, I remember you had a game at Arkansas, I guess in 2014, that y'all won like 14-13, and after the game you said, look, our players need to enjoy wins. These are big wins. Are your players, do you feel that the players are enjoying these wins that you've had recently, maybe more so, or has that never changed as far as a player enjoying a win?
Well, what I want players to do is really enjoy wins. If you beat another team, especially in our league, because they're all tough, you should enjoy that. You should feel good about that. You shouldn't be relieved, that you won the game, whether it's expectations of whoever creates it or whatever, because I don't think relief syndrome is a good emotional, state to be in. You want to feel like you beat teams. You should be happy about it, and you should be mature about things that you need to correct and positive about how you can improve your performance and, just kind of have the right psychological disposition to make progress and move forward.
Thank you.
Next is Jackson Fuller with the Southwest Times Record.
Hey, Coach. Just wondering, if looking at the film, how has Dan Enos changed, much at all since, his offensive scheme since leaving Alabama, or does it look a lot of familiar things to when he was on your staff?
Well, I think he's changed quite a bit from when he was a coordinator before he was on our staff. And I think being with Mike Loxley, who was the coordinator here when Dan was here, and then having coached for, Mike, I think he has changed, quite a bit, but in a very good way. I think they play well and they take advantage of the players that they have and present a lot of issues and problems for you defensively.
And real quick, just the Arkansas defense has made some strides since last year. I mean, what have you seen from them on film, and what kind of challenges do they present for you?
Well, they're very aggressive, playing a lot of pressure, type defenses. Their players are good up front. They're big, physical. They strike you up front, control the line of scrimmage, and they're playing really, really well, I think.
Next is Tom Murphy, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Nick, Rocket Sanders had 100 rushing yards on you last year. He's got 91 through 6 games this year. What do you see as affecting their run game so far?
They've been able to run the ball effectively. I don't think they're a team that's committed to, running the ball. They run it. They've got good play-action passes. They got RPOs that go with it that, they've made plays with. So the quarterback run game is really challenging. So, they're doing a lot of good things on offense. I can't comment on, I still think that they're a good running football team. So never really looked at the statistics from last year to this year or any individual, but I do think that they're very capable of running the ball effectively based on their scheme and how they tie it together with play-action passes and RPOs.
All your time, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our team's excited to go to Alabama. They are playing extremely well. Defensively, swarming to the football, really physical group up front. Defensive ends are outstanding. Offensively, I think Milroe is leading the team exceptionally and well. They've got a couple of running backs that are really, really good. O-line's big. Burton's playing fantastic. So it's a huge challenge for us, but our kids are excited to go to Alabama and see what happens.
You mentioned about Alabama defensively, and tell me just in terms of prepping for this Alabama team this year, how do they stack up against other Bama defenses that you've had the game plan for, Coach?
I think they're really good. I think they compare very well. Have a lot of, they have, in my opinion, great defensive ends, and they're a problem. It's a problem if somebody has one that can wreck your game plan, let alone three, maybe four. Very, very big, physical inside as well. I love their linebacker group. Obviously, Kool-Aid is one of the best players in the league, and Caleb Downs. And, you just keep going with Amos and Key, and they are really talented, as well coached on the defense as anybody in the league, anybody in the country. And they play with passion and very physical. So I would say they match up with a lot of teams that Coach has had. You'd have to ask him. I don't want to speak for him, but I would say they match up, at least on tape, well with teams that defenses he's had.
Having already played Texas A&M, what was your thoughts on seeing that game film of Alabama and Texas A&M, Coach?
It really was basically, a lot of times you go in thinking, okay, this could happen. But to be honest with you, that game kind of went like what I thought it might. Texas A&M really, really good on defense. Their front four are really good. And so that matchup would be difficult for anybody. And then certainly the difference to me was the way that Milroe threw the football, and Burton got open several times, and obviously they have more than him. They have Bond and they have a bunch of them. But probably the if there was a surprise, it would be the way that Milroe threw the football because he was on. He threw the long ball great, and of course McClellan is a strong runner and had a good game as well. But it went about like what I thought it would, that it'd be a slugfest, and College Station is obviously hard to play at, and for them to go in there and get that win, I'm sure that was a big thing for their program, for Alabama to go in there and win. But it kind of went like what I thought it would, two really physical football teams.
At one point last year, it was 28-23 in that contest. And the reason I go there, Coach, of just going for two there after that score, and I know this past off season you've kind of reevaluated going for it. So strategy-wise, how much has that changed for you, going for two, going for it on fourth down, Coach?
Well, I think we've gone for it on fourth down 9 times now, and we've made it 6. The 3 that we haven't is all been 4th and 1s, and so obviously I'd like to have every one of them back. But so that has changed some of it, depending on where you're at on the field and all that kind of stuff. Chasing the points, I think each situation is different. In other words, at that point, we had momentum, we had all those things. We get the 2 point, could have really got us within 3, those things. If we miss it, is there a possibility of losing some of that momentum? Absolutely. And to be honest with you, I can remember vividly we talked about it. I saw where Brian Kelly, they did not chase the points early until the fourth quarter. And that's kind of the philosophy that you wait to chase that until you get in the fourth quarter. We were late in that third quarter, if I recall right, and we might have went too fast at that point. And it may have cost us some momentum, I don't know. But at the time we thought the risk versus the reward, we just felt like if we could make it, we'd get within 3, and the place was rocking at that time and maybe get even more momentum.
Thank you, Coach.
It's going to wrap you up, Coach. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you.